you hear? We went viral for saying it's okay to be wrong. You got to follow me on TikTok and see all the mishigas that's going on. Look at my hair. Much more important than going viral is that the clip exposed a virus in our society, the fact-eating gotcha virus. As a reminder, the video I posted was a basic piece of common sense for any adult, let alone somebody who's going to be the double nickel this coming Saturday. I've been wrong a lot in my life. You learn a lot of lessons along the way, almost always through failure, through wrongness, through learning from mistakes, as we all do. It's part of life. Everywhere that is, except in our politics. Because in our politics, in this binary battle to the bottom, being wrong is weakness, and you can never admit it. You can never apologize, because all it does is empower the other side to say, see. So people fight it at all costs. Insults, misinformation, disinformation, outright lies, anything to prove the other side is wrong, or that no matter what, they are never wrong. Now, the key part is, I never mentioned anything specifically that I have been wrong about. I kept it vague on purpose. Why? I wanted to see how many people would just acknowledge, yeah, I know, I've aged also. We make mistakes. You're right, Chris. More people should, remember that we're all flawed and we should have some grace, some forgiveness. Versus those who would abuse the disclosure to advance an agenda by assuming I was wrong about whatever they want to be right about. And remember, I specified nothing. So, what did we find? Most took the clip as intended, but there was a decent chunk of those who did not. And among those, a huge righty bias, with too many trying to say that what I'm saying is that I was wrong about fill in the blank. Trump, MAGA, the vaccine, the Russia investigations, even issues where I haven't disagreed with the MAGA position. I was presumed wrong about those too. So now we see what and who has to change. Less gotcha, more getting back to a world where two things can be true at the same time, and it is okay to have competing interests. You see, absolutism is extremism, okay? The lack of accommodation, the lack of compromise, the lack of any nuance, the lack of context. All of these things play into a very limited and jaundiced view of reality. And progress is found elsewhere, in pragmatism, in incrementalism, in compromise. And we see this in the impasse that is the war in the Middle East. Everyone is using the suffering of one side or the other to prove that they've been right all along and the other side is the worst. So there's an obvious position that embraces both sides, right? You want peace in the Middle East? What do you have to have? Hamas must surrender and return the people they stole. As soon as that happens, Israel must end its military activities and surrender control of the occupied area. And to begin this process, right, the major move is Hamas surrendering. But as the catalyst of good faith, Israel should allow aid to flood in. I don't care what Hamas does with it. I don't care how much of it is wasted. I don't care how much of it is sold off. Just the optics. Show who you really are and flood in all the aid, okay? And the IDF, when it does that, should allow all media to go without escort and cover the reality. I promise it will serve truth and it will serve fairness. And there is no fairness in the coverage right now. Any rejection of these concepts that I just laid out is proof of an extreme agenda, especially among those with an affinity for a social media-generated genocide. Over the weekend, there was a perfect intersection of these two competing narratives and how one side chooses to ignore the suffering of anything but their own. Did you see the horrific video of the starving Israeli hostage? Last name is David Aviatar, being forced by Hamas, scumbags that they are, to dig his own grave? Probably didn't. Why? Because if it's not people in Gaza, most of the lefties don't want to hear it. Hamas released it, by the way. They released this. It's not an IDF plant. It's not something they went in and made it. Hamas released it. Why? Because they don't give a shit about your good faith and your goodwill and your support of them. They don't even want most of you people to have the freedoms that you have. They wanted people to see their strength and that it's, hey, not just Gazans who are suffering, we're making them suffer too. They put this out exactly when the needle is moving towards sympathy for Gazans. They put this out to remind why it's all happening. And after the family of this poor young guy allowed the media to post it, digging his own grave. Did you see it on the front page of the New York Times? Nope. You would think that to show, hey, you were wrong about us. We just made a mistake with that kid in Gaza who has cerebral palsy that we just said was starving when his brother looks fine and his mother looks fine. And to prove that, here, we'll put this out. No, they don't put it out. So the Times has an agenda. What it is, you decide for yourself, okay? But why that image isn't everywhere, shared by people who say they give a damn about what's happening in Gaza. If you care about the suffering, then you just care. Not just when it's to the disadvantage of Israel, but you care about what's happening in Syria. You care about what's happening in the Sudan. You care about what's happening in Yemen. You care about what's happening in those concentration camps in China with the Muslim ethnic minorities in it. You care. So you care when you care, which is whenever humanity is affected or afflicted. But you're not doing that. So, you don't show that picture. You don't show the hostage, Ram Braslovsky. Hamas also put out a sick propaganda video of him last week. Why? They want people to see they're making Israelis suffer. Know this when you decide to put your keffiyeh on and hit the streets. Did Bernie Sanders, did AOC, with their millions of followers, condemn Hamas? Condemn these? Not a damn word. The American people no longer want to finance Israel's wrongful war in Palestine. But does the senator say, so Hamas must surrender, give back the people so Israel can stop? What a bunch of propaganda. What a pandering to the left. When you don't even think to suggest the obvious precondition that the people who started it surrender. Look at them. I hope you guys run. I can't wait to see how the country reacts. The Times didn't dedicate their front page to it, which they definitely should have. They never even admitted they were wrong, right? And then all their little friendlies. And let me tell you, there are people who are running websites who have personal relationships that compromise their coverage on this issue. And they think they're just going to pound on people who support Israel and their right to defend themselves because they have Palestinian and Muslim personal connections, and that it's not going to come out. And you are mistaken, my friends, because that is a bias that you must disclose, and you are not. You are not being fair. You're paying fealty to your lover or your extended family or whoever you're trying to service, but you're not servicing the truth. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.